Om. Om. योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचा मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। मन्त्रमूलं गुरोर्वाक्यं पूजामूलं गुरुः पदम् ध्यानमूलं गुरोर्मूर्तिः मोक्षमूलं गुरुकृपा सद्गुरुचरणारविन्दपादुकाभ्यां नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। Jai Srimanarayan, everyone. So, we discussed Yoga Sutras before, right? So, I think some of you might have attended that. I think it's a good idea for us to keep on revising them once in a while because this is a very special subject, right? So, the other areas like Gita or Ramayana, hmm, those things, those scriptures, they are taught by some people. So, or you have a lot of videos. So, you can follow them sometimes. But scriptures must be studied with the teacher anyways. But Yoga Sutras is very special. Why? The name itself indicates. Who will understand Yoga Sutras? The people who practice yoga. Right? That is the difficulty with Yoga Sutras. But don't worry, if you are not practicing, that is still fine. That's why we are discussing this. But if you are practicing, if you are a yoga practitioner, this is a must for you. Why? See, when we do something, there are two ways of doing it. One is just following the instructions. Okay, we are given a piece of paper. You do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the practice. Yes, that is good. That gives you some discipline, and so on and so forth. But when you really understand the purpose of doing each of these steps, that improves the benefit multiple folds. That is true with anything, not only just yoga. So therefore, my attempt today is to keep it very simple so that all of us understand the most practical aspects of Yoga Sutras. First of all, why should we study Yoga Sutras? Where did Yoga Sutras come from? What is the relation of Yoga Sutras with rest of the scriptures? So these are some of the things that we would like to discuss, right? Okay. So all of you know, right, our Vangmayam has several scriptures. We have 4 Vedas. And in Vedas, predominantly there are two sections, Karma Kanda and Gnana Kanda. So Karma Kanda is about rituals like performing yajna or chanting, doing puja. All those aspects are given to us in Karma Kanda. And Gnana Kanda essentially talks about attainment of Brahman, Paramatma. So the Gnana Kanda is given to us mainly in the form of Upanishads, Vedanta, the end of Vedas. So that is one. We have Vedas. And then to understand Vedas, so we have Vedangas, right? For example, Vyakarana. Unless you understand Panini Vyakarana, you will not be able to understand Vedas, Sanskritam, and so on and so forth. So Vedangas are there. But we also have Shad Darshans. Darshan means practically, literally, it means a window. Okay. So what is the Shad Darshans? Why are the Shad Darshans given to us? To attain Paramatma, to attain the highest reality, whatever you call Brahman, and so on and so forth. Right? So that is Shad Darshans. Then on top of this, we have Ashtadasha Puranas. So why did Puranas come into place? Puranas came into place because to help us understand complex subject in simple forms of stories. For example, Gajendra Moksha is one of the examples. Right? When Gajendra thought he could fight off the crocodile by himself, later on he realized that he can only do it with the help of Paramatma. He tried for several days. And so on and so forth. So we have Vedas, we have Upanishads, we have Shaddarshans, we have Puranas, and then on top of this we have Prakarana Granthas, various Prakarana Granthas that are given by various commentators and authors, and Shankaracharya gave a lot of Prakarana Granthas. Then we have Brahma Sutras. What does Brahma Sutras do? Brahma Sutras reconcile between all the Upanishads and other knowledge to make sure that there is no misunderstanding that arises. So of course Bhagavad Gita is part of. Then we cannot forget the two epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata. So Mahabharata is the biggest epic that has 100,000 plus shlokas, and a small portion of that 700 shlokas in the Bhishma Parva is given to us in the form of Bhagavad Gita. So probably it is not an exaggeration to say there would not be many people, especially Indians, that have not heard of Bhagavad Gita. So this is our framework that is given to us. So now, if you take a step back and say, why should we actually study these? Right? That is the question. I'm fine. I'm working. I'm not, doing anything wrong. I'm going about my life. So I'm raising my children. I'm doing my duties. And if I have any extra time, I do what I like. Maybe I'll go for swimming or, some vacation or something. So life goes on. So what is the purpose of these scriptures? This is where a lot of people don't understand or do not have, let us say, they didn't have a chance to get this knowledge. Why to study scriptures? So what our rishis said invariably, everyone actually faces three types of dukkham, suffering. What are these three types of dukkham? One is adhibhautika, the dukkham that is caused by other bhutas. Maybe it is deers, it is ants, or fellow human beings, neighbors, whatever the case may be. So when something is happening, you try. For example, if there are too many ants, you do something to get rid of ants. If the neighbor is playing loud music, you go and tell him, request him, can you please slow it down, and so on and so forth. That is Adi Bhautika Tapa. It means the Dukkham, suffering caused by bhutas. The second one is Adi Daivika. Adi Daivika tapas means what? The ones that are caused by Prakriti, right? So cyclones, hmm? Similarly, lot of snow, snowstorms, earthquakes, all these are not in our control, but they happen. So because of that, we experience some suffering. Then, last but not the least is Adhyatmika Tapaha. Adhyatmika Tapam means what? Nobody is doing anything to you, but internally there is some sort of suffering that is happening. What is suffering? Lack of contentment. Some gap is coming. We don't know why. Everything is fine. So this is the most complex form of suffering that we face. So our rishis discovered this. Then out of infinite compassion, the rishis said, let us help people. So what they did, they meditated. They meditated for the entire universe and so on and so forth. But anyway, so now coming back to the Shaddarshans and what is its relationship, their relationship with the Upanishads and so on and so forth. Shaddarshans came into picture to help us to realize Paramatma. Okay, so there are 6 darshans, Nyaya and Vaisheshika. So Nyaya and Vaisheshika predominantly, what do they give us? They give us logic, Tarka Shastra. Tarka Shastra means logic. If there is smoke, there should have been fire there. There must be fire. So Tarka Shastra actually is a very big topic. It takes a lot of time to study. Then we have another pair called Sankhya and Yoga. Sankhya Shastra and Yoga Shastra. So the Sankhya Shastra gave us the theory of evolution. Sankhya Shastra says this universe came from Purusha and Prakriti. But the Purusha Sankhya Shastra is telling is not the same Purusha as Paramatma. It is consciousness plus intelligent energy plus material energy. So that is Sankhya. Then Yoga Shastra actually came from Sankhya. Instead of saying from Sankhya, it takes a lot of concepts from Sankhya. And what particularly is added in Yoga Shastra is Ishvara, the concept of Ishvara. Sankhya doesn't talk about Ishvara. But the Ishvara Patanjali Maharshi defines is not the God we visit in the temple. He says Ishvara is also a Purusha like all of us. Purusha means not woman or man. Purusha means a being. But this is a special Purusha who is unaffected by afflictions, who is unaffected, untouched by karma. That's how Patanjali Maharshi defines the Ishvara, and so on and so forth. So now the last two are Uttara Mimamsa, Purva Mimamsa. So that means Brahma Sutras, essentially. So Brahma Sutras, as I told you, came into Vyasa Bhagavan gave Brahma Sutras to reconcile among all the scriptures so that there is no doubts. So now coming back to our today's topic of Yoga Sutras, Patanjali Maharshi gave 196 Yoga Sutras. What is a sutra? Sutra is a very comprehensive set of words that is complete in itself. There are some characteristics to be called as sutra. Alpaksharam, Asandigdham, and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to spend too much time on those. We can discuss deep. So basically, those days, imagine they didn't have paper to write, Talapatra Granthas and all. So they had to embed lot of logic information in a very small sentence. Those are sutras. So he divided these sutras into 4 chapters. The first chapter is called Samadhipada. Samadhipada means what? Samadhi means concentration. Probably a lot of you may not have heard it like that. Samadhi means we all have different picture. A rishi sitting, closing the eyes and get lost in Paramatma. Yes, that is also Samadhi. But samadhi technically is equal to samyak adhiyate chittam iti samadhi. Eh? Keeping the mind close to the meditative object. So that is samadhi. Then he gave sadhana pada. Sadhana pada means the chapter of practice. Practice. And then vibhuti pada. We also have vibhuti yoga, dashamodhyaya in Bhagavad Gita. Vibhuti means what? Power. Right? Vibhuti means Aishwarya. So when yogi practices this Yoga Sutras, then he gets Vibhutis, Aishwarya, special powers. But Patanjali Maharshi also said these are the distraction to ultimate liberation, so don't ignore them. Then finally we Kaivalya Pada. So now today what we are going to do, we are going to discuss. Our goal of today's session is really for you to go deeper in your yoga practice and understand what you are doing in yoga practice and why you are doing. Is yoga stretching? Yes and no. Stretching is a side effect. That's not the purpose of yoga. Okay. So now going back, so let me start again. So there are three types of tapas we are facing. So therefore, our rishis have given us all this knowledge. Now, what is so special about Yoga Sutras? Yoga Sutras is very, very popular. One reason being in the West, the word yoga is very popular now. All the gyms have yoga, stretching and all, they call it as yoga. Nothing wrong with that, it has its own purpose, people go and do. But the traditional yoga we should learn. Okay. So as I said, what is yoga? Yoga is equal to concentration, samadhi. Now, the fundamental problem that is addressed by all the scriptures, let it be Upanishads, let it be Gita, let it be any other scripture, the fundamental problem that is, or let us say two things here. All our scriptures make an attempt to establish and explain as the relationship between you, the jiva, the individual, and the one who created us, that is Paramatma, and the Prakriti. What is the relationship between me and the God and the Prakriti? These are the three things that they try to explain. So now, what they said finally, the root cause of all the suffering of humans is because of impurities of mind. Here, suffering should not be understood as like everybody is crying, depressed, not that. Suffering means lack of 100% contentment. So we are all happy, or let's not happy is not the right word. We are all contented for some time. And then we become unhappy. Again, we do something to become happy. And so in Patanjali, in Yoga Sutras, Patanjali Maharshi said, called them as Chitta Vrittihi. Chitta Vritti, Chitta Vrittayaha. Chitta Vrittayaha means what? They are not simply thoughts. Okay. Patanjali Maharshi has defined yoga as yoga chitta vritti nirodha. What are chitta vrittis? So chitta vritti. Chitta vritti means mental modifications. Mental modification. So we are sitting here now. So I have a car that is going by. My eyes came in contact with the car that created a vritti in the chitta. Some vritti. Oh, the car is beautiful or it is not beautiful, whatever the case may be. Then the car passed by. Then a snow truck came. Then I got a phone call. All these things happen. So chitta vritti means what? A mental modification that happens because of indriyas coming in contact with external world. Chitta vrittis can also arise from the past experiences. You are sitting here, you are thinking about the pizza that you had 2 days ago. Then the mind jumped to something else and so on and so forth. So Patanjali Maharshi said, yoga is the process of restraining these modifications, mental modifications. So why should we restrain mental modifications? So long as the mental modifications are there, you are not able to concentrate. Oh, concentration, is it such a big problem in life? I never thought about it. We know concentration as preparing for exams. You have to concentrate. When you are working, you have to concentrate, get the work done. When you are driving, you have to concentrate, you have to get work done. We never realize concentration, lack of concentration is the root cause of dukkha. Right? Okay, so now what I did, I'm going to walk you through. I created some slides, it's very simple slides. This time I kept it very, very simple because I got complaints that I'm making things too complex. So the first Yoga Sutra says, Atha, I picked most important sutras for us. Atha Yoganuशासनम. Atha is a Mangalavachakam. All the scriptures start with Atha. Atha Shabdanuशासनम. Panini Maharshi. Atho Brahma Jignasa. Brahma Sutras. So like that, all the Atha is also Mangalavachakam. But here now, Atha Yoganuशाsanam, what it means is, Atha indicates the commencement of subject which is under discussion. That is yoga, auspicious beginning. Yoga means concentration. It is a feature of the mind in all habitual states, meaning concentration of mind is possible whatever state the mind may be. Now the question is, we all have different degrees of concentration, and that focus also changes during the day, and so on and so forth. So therefore, our mind in general goes through these following states. Kshipta. Kshipta means restlessness, complete restlessness of mind. Modha. Modha means what? You can say tamas, not able to realize what is good and what is bad, some kind of laziness, you can say. Vikshipta. Vikshipta means distracted. So there is a difference between restlessness and distraction. The distracted mind means what? For some time it is able to stay stable, again it is going off. Ekagra, one-pointedness. And niruddha. Niruddha is the state where all kinds of, simply put, thoughts have stopped. The person is stable. The person is like a lake without any waves. So now, the yoga practice is given to us to make the mind ekagra and eventually niruddha. Okay. So that means what? Any person who follows Ashtanga Yoga with Shraddha, Shraddha means faith, and with intensity, they will be able to achieve ekagra chitta, niruddha chitta. What is missing here is we don't understand, we don't feel the impact of not having ekagra chitta. That is the root cause of all problems we will discuss. So now, you see what the sutra is saying, everybody can attain it if you follow Ashtanga Yoga. Okay? So Anushasanam. Anushasanam means what? After following certain practices, certain lifestyle, certain discipline, Patanjali Maharshi is assuming that we are ready for practice of yoga. Okay, so as I said, I'll not go too deep. Today, the goal is you should be able to say after this class, yeah, I understand how to practice yoga properly. Okay, next, yoga chitta vritti nirodha. So we discussed what are chitta vrittis. Chitta vrittis means what? The fluctuations of mind that is happening because of the external impact. Constantly that is happening. What is a vritti? Patanjali Maharshi later on describes. There are 5 types of vrittis. Pramana, Viparjaya, Vikalpa, Nidra, Smritayaha. But we are not going to discuss. Even Nidra is a vritti. Meditation is also a vritti until you achieve nirvikalpa samadhi and so on and so forth. So what Patanjali Maharshi said, if you can if you can suppress all the modifications of mind, then you will be able to realize your true nature to be Atma. Isn't it the purpose of Upanishads? Isn't it the purpose of all the scriptures, Ramayana, Bharata, Gita, the purpose of human life itself is to realize our true nature. Here also it is the same, by restricting, but Patanjali Maharshi is giving a new technique here. Now there is a lot of criticism for this sutra because people say, well, you can restrain mental modifications so long as you are in yoga practice. So what happens after you stop yoga? Again, everything starts. So how is it even possible? Those are deeper discussion. But for now, please understand that the purpose of yoga is to still the mind. Why should I still the mind? By stilling the mind, you will be able to experience your own self. The problem with see, yoga provides you experiential knowledge, provided you have this understanding of Yoga Sutras. If you don't know Yoga Sutras, if you are simply following lifelong asana pranayama, you won't get the full benefit. Okay. So, if you stop the mental modifications, then you actually can realize your true nature. That's what Patanjali Maharshi is saying. So, we'll move forward. Hmm. So then I jumped into this Sutra 30 in chapter 1 because first we have to understand why we are not able to practice yoga. Huh? See, we keep falling back in yoga because people give all kinds of excuses. Oh, I had a nerve pull, so I cannot do yoga. I hurt my back, so I'm suspending yoga for 2 months. I have a headache, so on and so forth. So, therefore, what is the purpose of learning this sutra? When you learn this sutra, you will be able to have a broader understanding of the reasons why we are not practicing yoga, and therefore we will be able to come over those impediments. See, if you are not able to do something, if you know what the root cause is, you will be able to address it. Isn't it common sense? So then I will correlate this back to Ashtanga Yoga very soon. But let us understand fundamentally, we all want peace. Step back. We all want mental peace. For mental peace, we need ekagra chitta, focused mind. And the problem here is chitta malinam. That means our mind has a lot of impurities. Here, impurities means what? Vasanas. All kinds of material thoughts. They are simply put impurities. Okay, now let us see what are the impediments for yoga. Vyadhi, sthyana, samshaya, pramada, alasya, avirati, bhranti darshana, alabdha bhumikatva, anavasthitatvani, chitta vikshepate, shiksha विक्षेपास्ते अंतरायाः व्याधिस्त्यान संशय प्रमादालस्या विरति भ्रांति दर्शनालब्ध भूमिकत्वानवस्थितत्वानि चित्त विक्षेपास्ते नवान्तरायाः. That is the sutra. So what are these vyadhi? Vyadhi means what? Disease, illness or disease. So when you have a disease, what happens? You're always lack of energy, mental turmoil. You don't feel like practicing yoga. You would be surprised in Ashtanga Yoga, Patanjali Maharshi gave asana to get rid of disease. Can you believe it? We never think of it that way. Asana means, yeah, it helps me to feel good, energetic, and it gets rid of some problems with the back and etc. But actually, this vyadhi and sthana, they can be overcome by asana practice. But anyway, so therefore disease is one reason. So Patanjali Maharshi is the first scientist who established a connection between disease and mind. He said that the disease actually, before it manifests on the body, sits in the Sukshma Sharira. Sukshma Sharira is the root cause of disease. So he said, keep the Sukshma Sharira clean. It is, again, Prarabdha Karma is another cause, but most likely we will not get disease. Even if you get something, you will get relief, and moving forward, you will be able to come out of that. Sthyana, mental dullness. See, when your mind see, in Bhagavad Gita, so Bhagavad Gita says the same thing, right? When one's mind is not focused on God, then what happens? Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. Bahushaka hyanantascha buddhayo vyavasayina. A person whose mind is not one pointed, that person's mind gets distracted and becomes dull. Samshaya, doubt about scriptures, doubt about the teacher. I don't know if I invest all my time in this, will it actually, is it worth it first in the first place? Maybe I will divide my time between material world and this. All these doubts come. So with the help of teacher, you get rid of all those doubts and you get steady in the practice. Pramada, carelessness. So the teacher, guru tells to practice in one way. We modify that and do it in our own way that is convenient for us. I am doing, no problem. So like that. That means what? We have to carefully follow the instructions. Alasya, laziness. This is a common thing. Once again, laziness, you know why it comes, right? When mind is tired, we feel lazy. We keep on losing prana, continuously watching media, listening to all the chatter, unnecessary chatter, all this, you lose prana. Then Bhranti Darshana, this is a serious problem. Bhranti Darshana means misunderstanding. You think you got to some stage in the practice, or you did not get to some stage in the practice because of lack of knowledge. So in this case, you have to approach the teacher and ask him, where you stand or what the problem is. Alabdha bhumikatva. That means you attained a certain stage, but you are not able to attain a stage of practice. Okay. Then anavasthitattvani. That means you achieved a state, but you are not able to stay there. Right? So you practiced yoga for 2 years, 5 years. You achieved some stability, mental stability. But then you keep on falling back. You are not going up from there. Many people get frustrated here. Then chitta vikshepaha, distractions of the mind. So these are the obstacles or impediments for yoga. So what yoga we are talking about here? Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. So why we are not able to concentrate and meditate? Because of this problem. Vyadhisthyana samshaya pramadalasya virati Bhranti darshana bhumi alabdhakatvani avasthitatvani chitta vikshepaste navantaraya. So that means what? The next step is, how do I address these problems? So Patanjali Maharshi said, you can address these problems in 2 ways. Either through Kriya Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga is given for very distracted minds. Kriya Yoga is given to people who are somewhat distracted. Remember that restlessness. For restless mind, he prescribed Ashtanga Yoga. For distracted mind, Kriya Yoga may help to some degree. But anyway, what is the difference here? Ashtanga Yoga is where all of you have common knowledge. Ashta means 8. Anga means limbs, 8 limbed yoga. Yama niyama asana pranayama pratyahara dharana dhyana samadhi. That all of you know mostly. Now Kriya Yoga. Tapaswadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. Tapaha. Tapas means what? Means burning. What is the yogi burning? He is burning the ego. Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya means self-study. Ishvara Pranidhanani. That means surrendering to the higher power. That means what? Simply recognizing that there is a higher power that is running this universe. But if we are mind, most of us need Ashtanga Yoga. Why? We constantly interact with material world, we keep falling back. So therefore, it's a good idea to, but in Ashtanga Yoga also you can, for example, reduce the time for asana, increase pranayama and all those things. But anyway, now the point here is we discussed the 9 obstacles for yoga practice. That means to restrict the mental modifications. Now let us see how they can be restricted. Namaste Rama sir. So we are very thankful. Rama sir gave us this precious knowledge, which is next to impossible to get. Okay, next one. So this sutra is saying yoga anga anushtanat ashuddhikshaye gnana diptihi a viveka khyate. Okay. Yoga anga anushtanat Yoganga Anushtanat Ashuddhikshaye Gnana Diptira Vivekakhyate. Vivekakhyati. This is a very important word. Let's see, I gave the meanings here. Vivekakhyati means what? Discrimination between good and bad. What is that's going to help you in life versus what's not going to help you? Khyate. Khyati means knowledge. So, what this sutra is saying is by the practice of 8 limbs of yoga, or when you practice the limbs of yoga, when impurities are destroyed, the light of knowledge arises, leading up to discriminative wisdom. So, what does Ashtanga Yoga do? It destroys the chittamalinam, impurities of mind. So, what are impurities of mind? Impurities of mind is nothing but our attachment towards the material world. And isn't it surprising? By following Ashtanga Yoga, Patanjali Maharshi is saying you can reduce your attachments. Your attachments to the material world automatically fall away. We struggle with that all the time, isn't it? We created so many attachments for ourselves. So Patanjali Maharshi gave this wonderful, miraculous practice called Ashtanga Yoga to eliminate, to purify the mind from vasanas. Simply put, the compulsive patterns of behavior, the compulsive patterns of thinking while working with the material world, all that gets cleared. That's what he's saying. So then, so he gave the 8 steps. See, you heard of this before, but this is a systematic study. If somebody asks you, where is the definition of Ashtanga Yoga? 29th Sutra in chapter 2 of Yoga Sutras. Sadhana Pada. 29th Sutra of Sadhana Pada gives the steps of Ashtanga Yoga. Yama Niyama Asana, Pranayama Pratyahara, Dharana Dhyana Samadhaya, Ashtau Angani. So all of you know this. So now let's discuss. So now what are yamas and niyamas? Yamas and niyamas are the do's and don't do's, moral practices in life. You see how deep-rooted our scriptures are. Our scriptures are saying if you don't have moral life, then there is no yoga, no sukham, nothing. Remember, yoga is equal to sukham. Just because you get rid of the tapas, the 3 tapas. So therefore, in the daily transactional life, we have to have moral conduct. Okay, so let's see what those are. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha. These are yamas. Means you should not do this. And right? Himsa is not. So now let us see. Ahimsa. Ahimsa means what? Causing some sort of pain to other bhutas. And ahimsa should be practiced not only through body, it should be practiced through walk and mind also. When we talk to others, the language should be priyam. It should be very priyam to others, not in a harsh way, hurting others. Huh? And sometimes what happens, rujutvam is required. We say, oh, you are so beautiful. We don't really mean that. All those things have to go away. So we have to follow ahimsa at all times, not only just once or twice. Satya, telling the truth. See, truth actually gives you immense power, both from yogic point of view and from Vedantic point of view. The one who always speaks truth gains immense powers because this is science. I'll explain you why. Why yamas and niyamas should be followed. What is the relationship between this and scriptures? When you don't follow yamas and niyamas, you get double personality. Right? That means you are saying something, you are doing something else. Then what happens? All the time your mind is in duality. Oh, I said this pertinent to this thing. I didn't really mean it. I spoke some habitually some lie. So it is in our own interest that we should not speak lies because that creates split personality within us. Split personality spoils our health and it also destroys our yoga practice. And then asteya, non-stealing. Non-stealing means what? Not, and then you get a doubt. What is non-stealing? I'm not stealing from anyone, but we should also not steal from Paramatma. The entire universe belongs to Paramatma. Here we are assigned certain portion of the wealth based on our prarabdha karma. Correct? So therefore, we should enjoy what came to us because of prarabdha karma and in a very limited way. So this is where Ishavashopanishad, Ishavashyamidagam sarvam, yatkincha jagatyam jagat, tena tyaktena bhunjithaha, magrutha kasya sviddhanam. You renounce and enjoy. That's what Upanishad is saying. Renouncing means what? Simply put, acknowledging that nothing belongs to me here. Everything belongs to Paramatma. Even though this body is working, this mind is working for earning this money, right? But we are only able to do that because of the power given to us by Paramatma. That is what means renouncing and enjoying means. So therefore, that is asteya. And we should not always in the process of accumulating wealth. If it naturally comes, that's okay. Why? That means you are pulling away from somebody else, no? So make enough money so that you can live comfortably. You don't have to think about it, but avoid greed. That's the idea. Okay. Then brahmacharya. Brahmacharya means what? Brahmacharya. The meaning is there itself. Charinchita means to move in Brahman. That's what brahmacharya means. That means what? Not getting indulged in material comforts. We need to eat. Enjoy what is required to fill your stomach, and so on and so forth. So everything that we enjoy in this material world should be in moderation. That's what brahmacharya means. Moderation in everything. And then aparigraha. Aparigraha means what? Not actually not take something that belongs to others. And then yamaha. These are all the yamaha. Then niyamas. What are niyamas? Saucha. Saucha means what? Purity. Inner purity and outer purity. Just like we take bath for the physical body, we have to read scriptures for mental purification. Without bhakti, without mental scriptures, it's very difficult to keep the mind pure. So we have to avoid arishad vargas when we deal with the material world. Raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, madha, lobha, all those things. Matsari. Santosha. Santosha means what here? Not the santosha we get because of rajas. This is contentment. Always be contented with what we have. We appreciate. See, lack of contentment is the root cause of our unhappiness. Think about it. We are better than how many people in the world? A lot of people don't have food to eat, no security, living in miserable conditions. So even if you look from that point of view, we should all be so thankful to what we have. Tapaha. Tapaha means what? A person who doesn't meditate has no sukham. That's given very clearly in Gita also. What is meditate? Tapaha. Tapaha means to generate heat. What kind of heat? To burn your identity. We all have false identity. We always identify ourselves with body and mind. Therefore, that is tapaha. Swadhyaya, self-study. That's what we are doing. Ishvara pranidhanani. That means um, surrendering to higher power. These are all niyamaha. So the point here is, if you want to practice traditional yoga, yamas and niyamas must be practiced on your own, because unfortunately we don't have enough time to sit and discuss that daily. Then imagine our yoga practice, as such people are complaining 2.5 hours, then it becomes 5 hours. So therefore, once in a while, it's a good idea to have a satsang like this. But yamas and niyamas should never go out of your mind. Sarva kala sarva avastha. All the time, in all situations, you have to constantly practice those. Those are the prerequisites for yoga practice. Okay, then we will jump into our favorite topic, right? Asana. So Patanjali Maharshi gave two definitions of asana in 46th and 47th shloka of Sadhana Pada. First he said Sthira Sukham Asanam. Then he said Praitna Shaitilyam Ananta Samapattibhyam. Praitna Shaitilyam. So what is called an asana? Stretching is not called asana. Asana is Sthira Sukham Asana. So two properties. It should be sthiram. See, a lot of people I have seen, they cannot sit still even for a minute. I have seen so many people. So sthiram. That means what? I asked you to move your arm like this. You moved your arm and you are not moving. Sthiram. And you are not struggling. You are doing this because your body is enjoying it. So therefore, if you practice Thirasukamasana, there is no problem with any pose. Don't overdo it. So the reason being, there is a science here. Sthiram and Sukham. When you have these two, Patanjali Maharshi said, automatically your mind quietens. Initially, it is like a child. It will be creating a lot of, turmoil. But if you, with determination, if you just sit still in asana, sit here, like 1 minute, 2 minutes, in Makarasana, 3 minutes, like that. Then what happens? The chittavrittis start falling like rocks from the mountains, and they have nowhere to go. They have to stop. They have no choice. So therefore, the purpose of asana is sthira sukham asanam. That's how you should do it. Then praitna shaitilyam. Effortlessness is another characteristic of asana. When I ask you to bend back, you are not like pushing pelvis forward. Not like that. Praitna shaitilyam, effortlessness, as if you are not doing anything. Ananta samapattibhyam. When you are practicing asana, you should always be your mind should be on the infinite. Infinite means here Paramatma, you can roughly think. So, praitna shaitilyam ananta samapattibhyam. Only when you practice these four conditions, then it can be called as asana. So therefore, what happens here, we have to understand asana is very personal to you. I can only tell so many times during the practice. The idea of today's session is, because you are learning it through the Shastra, it sits here. Next time when you practice asana, your whole thinking and practice changes. Why? You are not looking for the stretch. Stretch is a byproduct. So what is our purpose? Our purpose is to quieten the mind. So therefore, sthira sukham asanam prayatna shaitilyam ananta samapatibhyam. So then what happens? If I practice asana, then what happens? Tato dvandva anabhighataha. Dvandva means dualities, pair of opposites. Hmm? Anabhighataha. That means the dvandvas go away. They stop bothering you. Tatah dvandva. Tato. This is the sandhi. Tato dvandva nabhighataha. Okay. So pairs of opposites is the reason why we go through a lot of chitta vrittis. So Bhagavan has given this in Bhagavad Gita on many, many occasions. Right? Sukha dukkhe samaya krutva labha labho jaya jayo. Hmm? Then also there are so many shlokas in Gita. So therefore, Bhagavan said, Tam stitikshasva bharata, learn how to withstand the dvandvas in Gita. But here, what Patanjali Maharshi is saying is, look, I'll give you an easy way to get rid of dvandvas. Even if you have some life conditions or your own life problems, etc., you practice asana, dvandvas will go away. They will reduce. How long? In the first chapter, there is a sutra. Satu dirghakala nairantarya satkara sevito drudhabhumihi. The practice has to go uninterrupted for a long time. How long? Sometimes many lives. Now think about 2.5 hour yoga practice. Not enough. Huh? So that means what? It is your personal thing. So the point is you have to be determined, have faith in Shastra, and it will automatically come to you. You will observe it yourself. Shastra, 100% Shastra cannot go wrong, period. Even if the sun actually rises in the west, the Shastra cannot go wrong. All these things must and will happen when you practice. Because that's the nature of the Shastra. Vedas and Upanishads, they can never go wrong, not possible. Okay, but anyway, from the practice, one becomes free from the disturbances caused by the pairs of opposites. So you learn actually they come down and you learn how to withstand them. Next, what we do, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, our favorite topic. So what is pranayama? What is this? How is pranayama defined? Let us see. Tasmin sati, this is causing. तस्मिन् सति श्वास प्रश्वासयोर गतिविच्छेदः प्राणायामः तस्मिन् स्थिति श्वास प्रश्वासयोर गतिविच्छेदः प्राणायामः. So what is the sutra number? I think it's 49. 49th shloka. And then the 50th shloka, we will come back to that. So let us see here. Tasmin, when that is established, what is when asana siddhi happens? Asana siddhi means what? Asana siddhi means the ability to sit still for 2 hours, 3 hours, 40 minutes. That's how Ramasar used to tell us. Guess what happens? For me, I feel like I don't mean to say I fully achieved asana siddhi or anything. I saw a difference after 5 years of intense practice. Asana siddhi. So therefore, pranayams, this is why we should not teach until asana siddhi comes. Why? Without asana siddhi, your nadis are not ready to absorb pranayam. But what we are doing, we are going with the stream, because at this rate, when people join the practice, they leave. We can never practice. But I know a lot of you are practicing regularly with me. Thank you for that. In the morning, right? So therefore, as per the Yoga Sutra, tasmin sthite. That means when the asana siddhi happens, after practicing asana for a long time, purifying the nadis, Then what happens? Shvasa prashvasayoho. Shvasa means inhalation. Hmm? And prashvasayo, exhalation. That means what? Apane juhvati pranam, prane panam tatha paragita. Vichedaha, interruption, pranayamaha. When asana is established, regulation of inhalation and exhalation is called pranayama. So what is the science behind this? Breath and thought are connected. When you are mentally disturbed, the first symptom that happens is your breath changes. Suppose you heard some news that creates tension for you. Your breath is completely out of sync between right and left nostrils. And it becomes very shallow, very short. You heard some bad news all of a sudden. Similarly, you are very excited for some reason. Something good happened to you. Then the prana starts, it goes so fast. Like that. So, pranayama means what? After achieving asana siddhi, regulating, that means making sure that both the right nostril and left nostril are equally open. That is what pranayama is. Tasmin sthitau shasa prashvasa vichhedayoho gati vichhedayoho pranayama. So, when you are practicing pranayama, dirghashvasam, we are doing 5 inhale. So from tomorrow onwards, what you are thinking here? You are not thinking I'm just inhaling. I am regulating the breath between the nostrils. In the West, unfortunately, they call it as breathing exercises. It's not breathing exercise. It's regulating the breath. Why? When you regulate the breath, Sushumna Nadi starts flowing. We have 72,000 nadis. Most of you we discussed many times. Out of that, 3 nadis are very important. Huh? Ida, left nostril, Pingala, right nostril, and Sushumna. So this right nostril and left nostril go around the spinal cord from the very end of the spinal cord until the neck portion, throughout the spinal cord. So they are like serpent, you can imagine. So when we are inhaling through right nostril, you know that is flowing along the Sushumna Nadi. So when these two are flowing properly, equally, not properly, equally, then Sushumna Nadi leads to moksha. Therefore, what happens in the early morning when you get up and check the nostrils? If left nostril is open, that means you slept well. Parasympathetic system, Ida. Then we practice, normally right nostril is blocked in the early morning. So therefore, we practice asana to release right nostril, Pingala. When Ida and Pingala both are released, then what happens? We practice pranayama. Then that's when actually meditation happens. For most of us, I mean, for some people it may naturally happen. We are not talking about exceptions here. So now, what is the second sutra saying? Let us see here. I don't know if I wrote it. But anyway, I wrote English here. Let's see. Pranayama has external, internal, and retention phases. It is regulated by place, time, and number and becomes long and subtle. This is the second sutra regarding pranayama. Bahya, external. Abhyantara, internal. Stambha means kumbhakam, to stop. Vritti. Desha kala sankhyavihi. This is important. Desha kala sankhyavihi paridrishtaha. So desha kala sankhyavihi, and what does that mean here? Desha means place. That means creating space inside for pranayam. Kala. Kala means what? You have to follow the ratios properly. This is where you should never follow pranayam in any other way except the way you are taught. Don't experiment by looking at videos and stuff. There are a lot of consequences because of that. This practice is, see, we can't get creative with that without the help of masters. So this pranayam, what we practice every day, is given to us by Ramasar's teacher, Srivats Ramaswamy. So therefore, it's very safe for us. So some people teach Samavritti Pranayama. That means what? Equal inhalation, equal exhalation. Some people we follow exhalation double the inhalation. So like that, we should follow properly. Okay. And one interesting thing, if you observed in case of asana, Patanjali Maharshi did not tell us which asana to follow. Later, rishis have given the asanas. The 84 important asanas are given in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, which is given to us by Swatmaram. So that you have to understand. Similarly, he said, Tasmin sthati shwasa prashwasa gatiyor pranayamaha, vicheda gatiyor pranayamaha. So he did not tell what pranayams to follow. All that is given to us by Yoga Upanishads. There are about 22 Yoga Upanishads. Okay. Okay. So now you understand this. Then the next one is Bahyabhyantara Stamba Vrittihi Desha Kala Sankhyavihi Paridrishtaha Dirgha Sukshmaha. So this is the 50th shloka that we saw anyways. So Vritti, Kala means what? Time. Sankhyavihi, how many rounds we are doing. So therefore, Desha, how long we are inhaling, exhaling, how much space is available inside. Kala, time, Sankhyavihi, number of rounds. Dirgha Sukshmas. That means what? Pranayama becomes very subtle. See, pranayamas, you should be very, very careful. Initially, what you do, you practice only one round at a time. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold, inhale, hold, exhale, hold, release. It is safe. Once you start mastering the asana, mastering the pranayama, at a time you can do several rounds. Then how do we maintain the counts? So nowadays we are using an app because the app is very easy to use. You can also use Gayatri mantra. Inhale one Gayatri, hold one, exhale one. You can do that also, but that's very difficult. Or you can simply chant Om. Inhale one Om, hold one Om, exhale two Oms. But the ratios have to be accurate. Okay, like that. So now what happens? Actually, stamba, kumbhaka, that means stopping the breath is called pranayama. Okay. Pranayama consists of external, internal retention phases. It is regulated by place, time, and number and becomes long and subtle. See here, honestly speaking, some people use the words puraka, rechaka, and kumbhaka. Puraka means what? You are taking the breath inside. By the way, I am making noise just to show you. Pranayam should be soundless. Then kumbhaka. When you do kumbhaka, what is happening? The prana is pushing the Mooladhara chakra. It is pushing the kundalini so that it enters into Sushumna. Then rechaka. Rechaka is inhalation is energizing. Exhalation is relaxing. That's the principle of pranayama. And kumbhaka is to push the prana into Sushumna. So then you know what happens. The chakras, the prana starts going up the chakras. So therefore here is Puraka, instead of Puraka, Rechka, you understand them to be, when you are actually taking the prana inside, this refers to the process, the activity through which it is happening. But anyway, so we will discuss another time. Actually, there is a Vyasa Bhasha on Yoga Sutras, but it needs more time. Okay, then what happens? Tatra tataha kshiyate prakashavaranam. Tataha kshiyate prakasha avaranam. And then there should be another sutra here. Here. Bahyabhyantara Vishaya Akshepi Chaturthaha. So let us see the meaning here. So the fourth kind of pranayama transcends both external and internal objects. This refers to Kevala Kumbhaka. So, what is Keval Kumbhaka? See, initially we have to put effort to hold the breath, isn't it? You inhale, you hold, you exhale, you hold, and etc. That leads to such mental tranquility that chitta vrittis completely stop at some point. Then what happens? Your breath automatically stops. You don't need to hold the breath. That is called Kevala Kumbhaka. Kevala Kumbhaka usually happens after Brahmari. Why? In Brahmari, hyperventilation is happening. We are exhaling longer than inhalation. That means you are not taking oxygen for some time, the prana. So that leads to activation of cerebral cortex. So you get the experience of sudden stopping of breath without effort. But yogis can stop the breath for hours together. And it has been proven in the laboratories and stuff. It's not just some mythology or something. Why? Remember, we can be alive without breathing. What is required for us to live is prana. So therefore, in Kevala Kumbhaka, what happens? This is where I told you there is a relationship between thought and prana. If your thoughts are completely quietened, you are completely absorbed in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, then what happens? You don't need to breathe. Our breath automatically stops. That is called Kevala Kumbhaka. So, the one which we follow every day, we do with effort. Then eventually, what happens? Without effort, you will be able to stop the breath automatically stops. That is called Kevala Kumbhaka. Okay. So just to recap, so where did we start? We have Chitta Malinam, impurities of mind. Impurities of mind are not allowing us to stay in Samadhi, in a concentrated state. Therefore, we are going through suffering. So therefore, we decided that we want to reduce suffering or eliminate altogether. Then we choose the path of Ashtanga Yoga. What does Ashtanga Yoga give? Ashtanga Yoga gives Ekagra Chitta. Right now we have Vikshepa Chitta. See, most of us who are in these practices, spiritual practices, what happens? In general, we have some level of concentration compared to the people who are not following this. To that extent, it's good. We already have some level of concentration. And I'm positive all of you have seen a sea of difference when you practice yoga. The mental clarity you have, even if some difficulty comes, the recovery time actually reduces. Okay, so we discussed Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama. Now we are going to see what is Pratyahara. Pratyahara. Okay, let's see the definition. So, and the mind becomes fit for concentration. So, what is the purpose of pranayam? Pranayam makes the mind eligible for, ready for concentration. Dhara. You see here, Swaveshaya asamprayoga chitta swarupa anukarahaiva indriyanam pratyaharaha. What is pratyahara? Swaveshaya. Swaveshaya means what? We have five tanmatras, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. And they always go and interact with their respective material objects. Eye interacts with the form, Sparsha interacts with the skin, and so on and so forth. So, what is Pratyahara? Swaveshaya asamprayogo. That means we are restricting or we are practicing the indriyas, we are withdrawing. Ahara means food. Pratyahara means withdrawing food. For what? Withdrawing food for the senses. Then that is called pratyaharaha. Then what is the purpose of pratyahara? Tataha paramaha vishayatendriyanam. That means what? From that practice of pratyahara, supreme mastery over the senses is attained. See where it ended? So, Bhagavad Gita, most of you are attending Bhagavad Gita classes. We discussed extensively in Sthita Prajna qualities that it is all about sense control. As much as people think there is a lot of God and all those concepts in Gita, yes, they are there. But the main thing that is emphasized in Upanishads, in Bhagavad Gita, in all the scriptures is sense control. In Kathopanishad, Bhagavan has, it is compared that Atmanam Radhinam Vidhi. That means what? Our body is the Ratham, right? The Jivatma is the one who is sitting in this Ratham, and the horses are like the Indriyas. See, if the horses are pulling the cart, Ratham in different directions, then what happens? It will ultimately fall in a ditch or something. So then we all know that everybody knows the benefit of having sense control, but are we able to do it? No. When the nick of the moment comes, then we give up. So therefore, what it is saying is ultimately, when you practice asana, pranayama, pratyahara, you gain immense sense control. Okay. So this is the one way. Then people may argue, well, can't I do it without Ashtanga Yoga? You try and tell me if you are successful. Difficult. So Ashtanga Yoga is easy. Okay. If you keep on practicing, it will come. But anyway, so now why did I stop here? Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara. These are called external practices. Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, these are internal practices. These three together is called Samyama. Art of living, they call it as Sayam or something like that. So that we'll discuss in another class. Okay, so just to take a step back, Atha Yoga Anushasanam. Now the practice of yoga starts when you have some sort of lifestyle. See, you can't bring a person who is totally out of shape, I mean mentally, not physically, and bring the guy and put in yoga, you will struggle. So therefore, we have to have some level of knowledge and all. Then what happens? Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is the stopping of all the mental modifications. So then the question is, I'm able to be peaceful in meditation. So what happens is eventually, as you practice more and more abhyasa, that becomes your second nature. Even when you are interacting with material world, your chitta vrittis are not able to touch you. You here in the sense, your consciousness. Okay, that reduces, that happens. Then there are other important sutras here is, so Patanjali Maharshi said then, okay, great, chitta vrittis. What is the way to, first of all, let me take a step back. Why did he give Samadhi Pada first? He should have given Sadhana Pada first, isn't it? He would have said, knowing that most of us do not have Ekagra Chitra, he should have said, first practice Ashtanga Yoga, then Kriya Yoga, then come to Raja Yoga. Raja Yoga means meditation. But he didn't do that. He first gave this. Why? Because he wanted to show us the end state model. He understood those days itself. All these people are intellectual in nature. Unless I tell them end state model, they will never appreciate what I'm telling them. In the first chapter itself, he gave the end state model. Look, your end state model is you have to be in samadhi. And then he peeled the onion back and said, you are not in samadhi because your chittam is not concentrated. Then I'm going to give you an easy way, Ashtanga Yoga. That's how he went on. Then in all our scriptures, there are two tools given to address this, Abhyasa and Vairagya. Right? So Patanjali Maharshi says, Chittayaha, Vrittayaha, Panchatayaha, Klishta, Aklishtaha. These chitta vrittis are 5 types he categorized. Some are klishta, some are aklishta. Some cause dukkham, some cause sukham. Isn't it? 90% of chitta vrittis, they don't matter to us. in life. See, we see so many things around us, right? Oh, I saw the bulb, I saw the mirror, I saw this, I saw. That doesn't cause any problem. Only those chitta vrittis where we have attachments that cause sukham and dukkham. And then there are 5 types. Pramana, Viparyaya, Vikalpa, Nidra, Smrutaya. Pramana means direct knowledge. You directly saw the car, it created some chitta vritti. Then Pramana itself is Pratyakshanumana Pramana. Even Agama is considered as Pramana. Agama means Vedas. Then Viparyaya. Viparyaya means false knowledge. That means thinking that we are the body and mind, as an example. Thinking that this body is beautiful. Actually, this body, if you see inside, it's not beautiful. All these things. Then Vikalpa, fantasy. Actually, object is not there. Mind is creating some fantasy. What happens tomorrow if this happens? That is another vritti. Then Smrutayaha, Nidra Smrutayaha. Then he said, Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam Tannirodhaha. Just like in chapter 6, Lord Krishna said, Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha kruhyate. Same thing given in Yoga Sutras. Okay? Okay, so we'll stop here. So I would like to give some time for any questions you may have or any doubts, please ask and we can discuss.
Balaji garu,
Sure.
the um, the two things that we do, Kapalabhati and Bhastrika,
Mm,
what are the functions, or what does it
mm.
help to achieve in the scheme of everything? Because asana is different, pranayama is different, but these two are slightly distinct.
Good question. See, Kapalabhati, so as I told you, they took the Yoga Sutras and made them practical in Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Hatha Yoga Pradipika said, look, for you to meditate, you have to cleanse your Sukshma Sharira. Kapalabhati and Neti, out of 6 practices, these two are easy for us. These two are given to cleanse the Sukshma Sharira. That is the purpose of Kapalabhati. Bhastrika is added later on by some practitioners, but Bhastrika is not traditionally there. Kapalabhati is a traditional practice. So what do we mean by cleansing this? What is Sukshma Sharira? Pancha Karmendriyani, Pancha Gnanendriyani, Pancha Pranaha, Manaha Chitta, Ahankaram, Buddhi. These 19 is called Sukshma Sharira. So when you practice Kapalabhati, what happens? Your metabolic waste is thrown out. So much metabolic waste is created inside throughout the day because of the thoughts, negative thoughts, food we eat, and so on and so forth. And also, prana is part of Sukshma Sarira. So, when you practice Kapalabhati, what is happening? Lot of elimination is happening. Elimination is the most important function in the body. So, therefore, Kapalabhati is one of the Shatkarmas given in Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Whereas pranayams are different. Kapalabhati, when should you practice it? Kapalabhati can be practiced before bed. Suppose you had dinner at 6 or something, at 9 o'clock, practice 10 minutes of Kapalabhati. Kapalabhati improves your digestion. Lot of Agni is created, right? Digestion is a problem, major problem as we age. Kapalabhati helps. Metabolism improves. All these things happen. In the morning, you can practice. Okay. So it's a good idea to practice Kapalabhati as soon as we get up. But the best time is after asana because as soon as you get up, your nostrils are not released. Okay. Okay, Anushaji, no problem. We're going to close anyway, 8:30. All right, so she has a class. So you got it up? So one day we'll discuss Hatha Yoga Pradipika. So that is what it is. And on top of this, some yogis have created kriyas. For example, if you go to, we do sometimes, right, this art of living, Sudarshan Kriya. They're not there in the traditional practices. Later on, some yogis, based on their practice, see what happens. How the richness of our tradition is, we take what the guru gives, then you add to that so that you can give to next generations based on your own experience. So like that, Ravi Shankar ji has given us Kriya. Similarly, Jaggi Vasudev ji, he gave some other practice. Those are all the modifications of original yoga practice. Hmm? Okay, so if you don't have any questions, I assume that you're all ready for test for next week.
One more question, Balaji garu.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So we in all of the practice, we only focus on nasal breathing, nasal
Mhm.
exhalation, nasal inhalation.
Mhm.
I mean, not that we breathe through our mouth because that's not normally what we do. But why
Mhm.
is any inhalation or exhalation from the mouth not discussed at all as part
Mhm.
of Ashtanga Yoga?
See what happens in the nostrils, we have a mechanism to block impurities entering through the nose.
Okay.
Okay,
So
you
it's
can
more
talk.
science than anything else.
Yeah, more science. So there, I forgot the name for that. So they actually filter out the
Right.
impurities before they get in. Whereas mouth doesn't have that function. And the exhalation you can do through the mouth sometimes. That's no problem. We do that in Yoga Nidra sometimes, right? We say,
Right. Right.
but inhalation
Especially,
never through mouth,
yeah,
except in Sitali Pranayam.
Sitali.
Pranayam. So, but that we haven't practiced, but we can do that, except that we should not inhale through mouth at all.
Yeah, the exhalation part is the Wim Hof method, the Western method of 4-7-8, which is adapted from yoga. There you inhale 4, hold 7, and then exhale 8 through the mouth. It's quite popular. You know, a lot of my non-Indian colleagues, they refer to that and say
Yeah,
it's the Wim Hof method, but that's
awesome.
adapted
See,
from yoga.
yeah, exactly. See, you can do that. See, so long as you understand Yoga Sutras, you go to any practice, you will be able to understand it. Now you know what is called pranayam. It's not inhalation and exhalation. If you are simply inhaling and exhalation, it's not pranayam. It's regulating the breath. Then the precious knowledge we have, we know Ida and Pingala, there are two nadis. We know they have to be opened for prana to flow properly. All this knowledge, a lot of people doesn't have in the Western world. Physical is okay. Any ratios and all that may be okay. Okay. So that's, and then the other thing, since we have a couple of minutes, we'll close at 8:30. Root cause of disease is lack of prana. Please understand. As we age, we feel terrible sometimes. It's a catch 22. You get up late, no prana. I can't get up early because I have no prana. Then what do I do? Then by the evening, all kinds of mental terms. So for a yogi, prana is bank balance. Yogi will sacrifice anything, but not prana. How do we lose prana? We lose prana. The first enemy for prana is negative thinking. One negative thinking depletes prana like anything. My God, that thought depletes lot of prana. Then wrong eating. When you eat wrong, lot of prana goes away. Then constant observing of media. Why? Prana is see, wherever mind goes, prana travels with mind. Please make a note of this. This is extremely important point. When you are following pranayam, if your mind is in Kailash, no use. Your mind has to be on the body part. Kailash is during meditation. So mind and prana, they go together. If you are watching TV, if you are watching iPhone, that means what? Your mind is not focused. You lose prana. And when you are excited, you lose prana. That's why we should not do over excitement. All these deplete prana. And a yogi measures life in terms of number of breaths. So therefore, the slower we breathe, the longer we live, the healthier we live. And as per Ayurveda, the root cause of disease is imbalance between Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Yoga and Ayurveda are sister sciences. So when you practice yoga, to some degree, Vata, Pitta, Kapha come into balance automatically. For example, when you practice Surya Namaskars, a Vata person should practice slowly. A Kapha person, heavy water, they should practice faster. Like that, you have to adjust based on your, and then gastroenterology problems are eliminated when you practice yoga. And hernia is eliminated because your core becomes stronger. It is able to hold the internal organs. So these are, even if you see from spiritual point of view or physical point of view, yoga is nothing less than a miracle. And when you learn Yoga Sutras, even little bit what we discussed today, your understanding deepens multiple folds. Then the next class, what we will do, we will discuss probably Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, some of the Vibhutis and Kaivalyapada. Okay? Okay. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Thank you all. Have a Shubhratri.
Thank you very much, Balaji garu.
Thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
Thank you, Balaji garu.
Yes, sir.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Jai Shri
Thank you.
Namaste.
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 Jai Shri
Jai Shri.